United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? Wonderful freezing rain. Okay. Ray, do you want to talk? Raymond, you want to talk now or later?
Sure. If that's what the agenda calls for.
Open meeting to the public starts.
Ray Wayman, 14 Priscilla Lane. Mr. Felke, thank you for taking the time in past board meetings for addressing rumors and explaining to the residents how certain functions of the village work. I think that helps so residents know what goes on in the village. Perhaps you could address the rumor of your years of harassing village employees and how section 1922 of the village code titled Discrimination and Harassment Policy works. Maybe you could explain to the residents who exactly must abide by this code, and if board members are exempted from abiding by this code or exempted from the punishment stated in section D8. Thank you.
Do you want to respond to that, or do you just want to move on?
It's actually in the attorney's hands, and I've had all my training. The village does not provide training to us. I take my training through the fire department, so I'm very familiar of what you can do and what you can't do.
They get NICOM training.
We have not been provided training since we've been on the board. No. Not since COVID. I take all my training through the fire department.
Well, there's some interesting points in that code, so
Minutes of the February 7th meeting. Sorry.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills. Any questions about the bills?
I make a motion to pass the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence?
I provided you with everything, Jed.
Yeah, these emails. I don't have juniors.
Okay, so correspondence that I received was on February 11th of 2022, and it was an email from Junior Moore. And Junior Moore sent a letter saying, sorry, as of today, I will be resigning from the zoning board due to my work schedule. That will be changed. So Junior Moore's seat on the zoning board of appeals will be open, and it can be replaced by one of the alternates.
Yep.
We now have 3 alternates, as you know.
Yep. And I'm going to appoint Mike Duffy for that, for the replacement for the remainder of his term. Sorry, I actually did have that. This is just such an informal resignation. I didn't realize it was a resignation.
That's the only thing I received.
Okay. And we got this thing from Margot Manning, NIMPA member to the NIMPA membership, REC price increases. The 2022 REC obligation is set to 5.61% of the system's local total load charge at a price of $35 per megawatt hour. This will be reflected in the January NIMPA bill. That used to be in 2021 2.04%. Most of that is going to be from New York State's green energy programs that they're trying to do now. And we've also got another letter from New York Municipal Power Authority talking about a note on January NIMPA invoice. And this January is one of the coldest months in recent years with demand and market prices for electricity well above normal. But while your customers' usage well up, the NIMPA rate remains steady at 3.75 cents per kilowatt hour. Compare that to the market price. Our fellow public power systems at by their supplemental power from New York Power Authority pay 10.7 cents per kilowatt hour and higher depending on their location. NIMPA charges were 1/3 the market prices. What cost jump was the transmission usage charge, TUC. Bottom line, because the market price was so high, in turn because it was so cold, the TUC was very high as well. The TUC is an ISO charge that includes losses and congestion. Remember, TUC is a subcharge to deliver your hydro preference power from Niagara. While we hedged to protect against congestion, there was no way to avoid high cost of system losses. The big hit this journey was TUC and specifically system losses. You of course notice the REC and ZECs. They amount to approximately 20% of your January NIMPA bill. The combined cost was now about 0.624 cents per kilowatt hour and is going nowhere other than up. We fear way up over the next few years. Those charges are dollars and cents impact of the announced state energy policy. Our proactive steps have allowed us to hold our charges even when the market price went crazy in January, and we'll continue this prudent planning. Any questions, feel free to contact me. If you want further detailed explanation of your NIMPA bill, just let me know. That's a lot of acronyms that are going to be flying over a lot of people's heads because never been explained before. Is that all the correspondence? Do you have anything else?
The only other thing that I'd like to mention, and I can mention it now, is that the village of Rouses Point has received some additional COVID-19 self-test kits. In addition to the test kits, we have also received some face masks. And what we're going to be doing is we will be holding a drive-through pickup at the Rouses Point Fire Department this Saturday, February 26th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This event is for Rouses Point residents only. We would ask the residents to bring a non-perishable food item to donate to the village food shelf. And also, based upon the recommendation of Trustee Arno, he's also asking if residents are not in need of a test kit or mask, that we would ask them to still consider making a donation to the food shelf. And I contacted the food shelf, and the items that they are in need of would be spaghetti sauce, canned vegetables, tomato sauce, mayonnaise, hot and cold cereal, Jell-O pudding, instant potatoes, Chef Boyardee spaghetti, and ravioli, etc. So whatever anybody could donate to the food shelf would be greatly appreciated. And I want to thank Mike and Benny and Brian and everybody for their assistance in this program.
Is that a notice you'd like me to post on Facebook tomorrow?
I already sent it to you, acknowledge it.
Was that the thing you sent Friday?
Yes.
I thought that was dated for this past Saturday.
No,
No? Okay. So I'll get that up tomorrow.
thank you. And I reported to the Sun too, so it'll be published in the paper.
Okay, resolution 2022-06. Village of Rouses Point, New York, polling place hours, names of those nominated. The hours will be 12 noon to 9 p.m. in the Civic Center here. In accordance with Article 15 of the Village Election Law, we've got John LaBounty running as mayor, me, Jedediah Thone, running as mayor, Brian Pelkey running for trustee, Benjamin Arno running for trustee, Nick Southwick running for trustee, and Scott Richner running for trustee. Be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby directed to publish this resolution, in the Press Republican, and to post a copy of this resolution in at least 6 conspicuous places within the village on or before March 5th, 2022, and that a copy be placed at the polling place. And you wanted to do the,
At this time, I'd like to do roll call. Trustee Pelkey,
Aye.
Trustee Menard,
Aye.
Trustee Arno,
Aye.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Aye.
and Mayor Thune.
aye. Okay, the next resolution is a budget modification, 2022-7. Any comments, Arson?
Most of this resolution is moving money in from this year's budget into the tentative budget.
Any questions?
I make a motion for the budget adoption modification.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Pelkey,
Aye.
trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Arno,
Aye.
trustee Rodriguez,
Aye.
Mayor Boone.
Aye. And I'm not quite done. I'd like to make a clarification about what I said last meeting. It was explained to me that Harry is not actually a tenant yet, and that he's a consultant on the property.
That is correct.
Yeah. So he's not actually one of the three tenants I know, because you're just a consultant at this time. So I want to correct myself from last meeting there.
Is that 64 or 58? What address are they using?
What address are you using?
I'm not sure, but I think one of them has to do with the emergency 911 line. I have a feeling it's 50.
58.
But you have to speak to ERS on that.
Okay.
I'm not 100%
Thank you, Harry.
Okay, trustee Arna?
The poles on Chapman Street, are we gonna have the phone company, remove them in the near future, or have you talked to them, or?
Yeah, I called them today to see if they had an update, because I spoke to them a few months ago, and they said they called me with an update, and I saw it on the agenda, so I called them today. They still don't have an update when they're getting the equipment back. With the chip shortage and the shipping backlog, they're kind of stuck at the moment. Because they want to update everything from copper lines to fiber optic.
Yep.
So they don't want to bury the copper and only to rip everything back out and put fiber optic in. But they're stuck with the chip
Okay.
shortages and shipping.
All right. Mr. Cooper, you have an update on 43 Chapman here?
Well, we have called Dave several times. He has a contractor. You guys, didn't you give them guys a copy of the contract? The copy of the contract is still, he hasn't got back to me for a permit yet, though. He's gotta have a permit, even though he's got the contract signed. He has asbestos can be moved from the building and can be moved out of town, except he hasn't applied for a permit yet.
Okay.
So the start date on that, Denny, is gonna be March 21st. So he has up until March 21st to purchase the demolition permit. And as Code Enforcement Officer Cooper indicated, there has been a signed contract with a deposit made on it. So it's pretty much a binding contract.
Okay. I was gonna talk about the discussion on the constable and stuff like that, but I got some more information and stuff, and I wanna wait. Okay,
Okay,
that's all I have.
okay, thank you. Trustee Menard?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Pelkey?
Yes, I'd like to address, Adam, you're seeing you brought up some concerns. Yourself and some people from Humboldt Energy were here last week, or last meeting, and they talked about all the good things that are going on. The way I understand it is there's like 3 different projects up there. There's the greenhouses, the solar farm, solar panels we talked about, and using the heat from the buildings for heating the greenhouses. I think there's some confusion that some of the people I talked to are under the impression that the village board is holding this project up, which the project, the greenhouses were was not permitted in that area. But you can go in front of the zoning board of appeals and it could be permitted. And to this date, I talked to one of the members of the zoning board and they have received no paperwork whatsoever on greenhouses, solar farms. And we know that the heat from the building is still a discussion that the attorneys are talking about. So, you know, I understand that, like, every time somebody comes here and they say, you know, Harry's a nice guy, which you know, I had a conversation with him, and he seems to be, you know, on the level where, you know, he has some good ideas. But I feel that the best foot is not being put forward to clarify on who has to do what. And I don't want the people to think that it's the village board that's holding up the greenhouses or the solar panels that you want to put in the parking lot. I mean, all that has to go in front of the zoning board of appeals. It's a whole different board than what this board is. And if they give you the blessing, there's nothing that we can do, you know, to really stop it. I mean, you know, you had a couple ladies here from, that were veterans' wives that worked for you, last meeting. I mean, it's nice to have all the input and people coming and saying what they do, but we need to get to the point where what's happening.
Well, I'm more than happy to answer this. I think the first time around, when we put this up, it was a rejection letter from your lawyer. It was not even coming in from the, you know, from the court enforcement officer when we filed for the permits for this. And it came from the legal counsel, which I explained very clearly in the meeting here about 4 meetings ago that that's not the process. And after I complained about it, we got a letter again from the council, and then it came from Mr. John Cooper. So it's news to me that the board is very supportive, because from the last couple of discussions, when I explained all of this stuff and talked about power consumption and everything else, and even though I had mentioned to you that there is a middle ground to be taken, you know, I didn't feel like, you know, and again, that's my personal view, I didn't feel like the board, you know, was very supportive. Now, if you tell me the board is supportive, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that. We do have a process. We're reviewing the letter that we got from Mr. Cooper and your lawyer. We're looking at it. We are in process of figuring out what is correct and what is not in that response that we got. And we will then approach it accordingly with the zoning board of appeals and file for variances if there is one that is needed. But we're not 100% sure that whatever is being reflected in that letter is actually accurate. And our legal counsel is looking at it.
Right. But it's not this board that's stopping you for submitting the paperwork to the zoning board of appeals. Apparently, Mr. Murnay's not here tonight, we can't ask him, but apparently you have to just submit the paperwork to go forward to the zoning board of appeals so they can have a public hearing and go through.
I understand that, but nobody from my team said that you guys stopped it. I don't think you stopped the process of us being able to file with the zoning board, and I understand that. Nobody on my team said that you guys stopped it. However, I can tell you, based on the last discussions and how things have gone here, I don't think, you know, it has been the right environment to, you know, for anybody like us to come in. The environment has not been great. Despite the fact that, you know, we have come and explained everything out to you guys, I think the environment has not been great. That we all know, right? We all know that to be true.
Well, the way I look at it is you have you have 3 phases to your project. You have what you want to do with the greenhouses, which, I mean, it can be negotiated through the zoning board of appeals. You have the solar panels that could be put in, which goes through the zoning board of appeals. The biggest problem that you have is if there is servers in the building that are being used, there's a local law that says you can't have it. I reviewed some documents from your engineers that said that these servers use 3,200 watts apiece. And currently, on phase 1, there is 1,188 servers.
Are those my servers?
So that's 3.8, that's almost 4 megawatt load. So then phase 2 and phase 3, if somehow all this information that the village has about our substation and our feeders was handed to your engineers, and they did this study, and they want to put up to 5,808 servers, which is going to be an 18.5 megawatt load.
Is that
Now-
from Commonwealth Energy?
This is from Omega Energy.
Yeah, I don't know who Omega Energy is. Is that a Commonwealth Energy document? You said my servers, those are not my servers.
Well, I don't know whose servers are in the building.
Again,
And you know-
you should address that with DRS and not me,
Right,
right? Because
right,
I have a certain
because-
project,
right.
and you need to be addressing that with DRS. And again,
Right, and I understand that.
And-
And I'm not saying that through your servers, because you told us a couple meetings back that you don't know what's going on in the building. You
that is
sat
not
right
true,
here-
because I'm not a tenant in the
Right,
building.
you said you're not a tenant, so we can't even, but for your greenhouses and your solar panels, I don't see why you can't move forward, why the paperwork's not
Well, I mean,
submitted.
you made the argument that there's no power in town, remember? We had a couple of discussions about this, you said there's no power available, in town to make this, to even do the greenhouses, because we're gonna consume power, and I made it very clear to you guys that it is gonna consume power. And what I did say is, find a middle ground to do it, and we're more than happy to bring a couple of people in here on all the tenants, and on behalf of the tenants, I'm more than happy to be the medium ground to address what power you have and power that they all collectively need, and find a middle ground that works for everybody, and that's what I suggested the last time. A couple of times I suggested that.
There could be power for the greenhouses. Of course, you don't need power for your solar farm because it produces its own power.
So you're not gonna put in enough solar panels to run your greenhouses?
No, it won't be enough.
I mean, even at the,
There-
even at the public hearing that we had, one of the residents brought up that you could put lights in there and not use the heat from the servers, if that inevitably.
Well, I don't know who that is, but I don't know how you maintain humidity without heat.
Yeah, you gotta have heat, but you.
I don't know how you do that. So if you're going to listen to somebody who said that, and we're telling you as practical engineers and people who know this, you know, I mean, you're more than welcome to listen to somebody else, but I don't know how you run a greenhouse without maintaining humidity and temperature, and I don't know where you get that from, other than getting.
So there's no other way you can run those greenhouses but without the heat from those servers?
No, you can run it, we would have to generate heat, and we'd have to pay for it, and we would have to generate it. And if you've got extra heat that is coming, you use it, if it's running there and it's there, you use it.
You'd have
That's
to-
all we're trying to do,
You'd have to install heaters that would use about as much power as the computers anyway.
correct?
But they aren't against our village law.
Well, again, so that's for you guys to decide with whoever that is. You know, I can only look at an economical situation where the economics, right now, economics in greenhouses don't work because of these issues. They just don't, because of the fact that the amount of power that is consumed to maintain the heat, especially in the winter when it's really cold, it's almost like you heating your house.
Right.
I'm sure your heating bills all went up this winter.
Right.
And I don't know how, I mean, listening to somebody else who says that, I think that's your decision to listen to them, but that's not what's practical.
No, I'm just trying to get it straight in my mind. So if you don't get the heat from the servers, you're not gonna put in the greenhouse.
I have to look at the cost of the gas and the cost of setting it up, and if it's economical, yes, but chances are it's not gonna be economical.
So that's where we're at. I mean,
Yeah.
people need, you know,
The servers are against our law, our village law.
So you do what you need to do about that, right? And so it's against the law. So how do I run my greenhouses without servers?
Why have that 1,300 servers apparently?
So how do I run my greenhouses without servers? It all runs on computers.
well, right now,
I have to run robots. Every robot is a server, so I'm gonna have probably 15, 20 robots. So which means I'm gonna need at least 30 servers, probably even more. I'm already against the
That's not
village law.
5,800.
Huh?
That's not 5,800.
It doesn't matter whether it's 5,800 or 800 or 300. If it's against your village law, it's more than 3 servers, it's against your village law. And you've come out publicly and you've said it. Right now, even if I went to a lender and all they have to do is listen to you guys, no lender in town is gonna support any business that needs a loan right now. Not a single bank that is gonna go in and do a due diligence is gonna lend to any project that requires more than 3 servers. Because you know what they're gonna say? Hey, I'm gonna loan you money, and then if the village board decides to shut you down tomorrow because you're more than 3 servers, guess what? You're gonna default, I'm gonna hold the loan, it's a distressed asset in the middle of nowhere. So no bank is gonna lend.
it's just.
I really hope you guys think through this, because you're actually killing your own economic development here by doing this. I really hope you guys think through this.
We didn't put the law in place.
So then do something about it.
Okay, Plattsburgh had the same problem. So they did a moratorium. The village board prior to us took that moratorium and they made it into a law. After Plattsburgh's moratorium was pretty much up, they looked at the law, they came back with another law that they decided to allow it. But the guidelines and the stipulations are so strict, nobody wants to go to Plattsburgh now. That's not,
Well,
that's
I
not
think
our
I
fault.
disagree with you on that. There are things that are happening in Plattsburgh, and they went out and they made changes, and I know you remember flashing the rider document saying that I'm gonna sign it about 2 meetings ago. And there, and all you have to do is go in and think about this. But look, I can only advise you guys on what is practical and what is not. Ultimately, it's your decision, it's the residents here that have to decide whether you want economic development or not. But the point that I'm trying to make to you right now is, you've already flagged it, and one of my lenders picked it up and said, hey, Harry, you wanna go there, let me ask you a question. I gotta go to my credit committee, I gotta explain to them that you're gonna be taking a loan for, the investment that you're gonna make. And the community, the board, is so against servers that if it's more than 3 servers, and tomorrow they shut you down tomorrow, what does the bank do? The asset is in default.
This law was put in place to protect the residents of this village and the small businesses of this village. That's why it was put in place. Right now, Messina Electric is going through the same thing. They started up there and they started putting in server farms. Messina Electric put the brakes on. They just put a moratorium in saying, whoa, we need to figure out what direction we're going in. So it's just not Rouses Point. It's Rouses Point, it's Plattsburgh, it's Messina. Anybody that's in our municipal group that has the cheap power, they're putting the brakes on for these things. And Harry, I'll tell you, if there was something that we could do that would not harm the residents or the small businesses of this village, we would help you 100%.
Well, I think what I told you the last time, again, and I'll repeat this again, and that was, the team that we put together was more than willing to pay for whatever upgrades they were willing to pay for supplemental power so that the residents of this community did not face that. And I'll repeat this probably the nth time. I think you've got a group of people that understand that they don't want to harm the residents, they want to work with the community, and they're willing to do that. And I will repeat this as many times as I need to help you out. Well, look, Messina has a problem, Plattsburgh has a problem, they all have
There's a
problems.
solution.
You can,
Plattsburgh is using it, is that's Rider A. Because they got rid of the Bitcoin ban,
Right.
and they apply Rider A. to
They're going with
everything.
Rider A, but did you read the stipulations under local law that they just put in there? The stipulations are so strict that, I mean,
It's unusual, but not exceedingly strict for a computer system.
they're very strict, and it's special use permits and everything. And,
look,
I mean, the only permit that we have so far through ERS, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the one permit for 2 CRSI to put a couple office spaces in there, and they were here a couple weeks ago, and they said they have 5 employees. When they first came here, they said they're gonna have 100 employees, they're gonna build servers, test them, put them on skid units or trucks, and send them out. I haven't seen that yet.
I don't think anybody's gonna invest in this town right now, based on what has happened in the last 2 months, I can tell you that for sure.
Because of our law?
Well, whether it's your law or not, it's the actions and how things have actually proceeded, okay? I've been here a couple of times, and you had one of your residents basically call me a terrorist, and accused another one of my partners of being a federal crime member. All of these were accusations. We had to write a letter, a legal counsel wrote a letter to them, and there is an obligation from the board of the village to not allow these things to be done in a board meeting. And that's in your code and your law, and you can't allow that to happen, because what happens in the end? Now all of a sudden, it raises flags that didn't exist before for the lenders and everybody else. These are hardworking people that want to put their money into town, and you want to provide an environment that actually allows them to come in to invest, that benefits the society and benefits everybody else. But that's not what's happening.
But
So
back,
whatever the agenda is, it is what it is.
but back to my initial response to this, and to like Adam and your employees that came here. We haven't seen any paperwork whatsoever. There's been no permits, there's been no load calculations, there's been nothing that,
That is not true. We gave very detailed load calculations were submitted back in December. That is not true. You can't tell me there was no load calculations,
Who
because
did
I
you give it
know,
to?
I know that there were load
Part of it's
calculations.
right there on your desk.
He
This?
just said that wasn't his.
He said it
That's
wasn't
not-
his.
That was, I didn't write it, but there was a
That's
combination, there was a combination.
5,800 servers.
Okay, so how many servers did Wyatt have? Let me ask you a question. How many servers did Wyatt have here?
How many jobs did they have?
So, okay, so now, basically what you're saying is, you're going to do it.
No.
No, hang on. The law is the law. If you want to talk about the law, it's the law.
Okay.
So you can't come in and say, I'm gonna bend the law as long as you employ that many people. The law is the law. If you tell me today, Wyatt had 1,300 servers and you knew they had 1,300 servers, but you are willing to give up the law on that note, that is wrong. That is an argument that is completely wrong.
Do you
So,
see, do you
okay,
see,
hold on.
do you see when this law was put in place?
This
It
law was only put in
2019.
place probably 3 or 4 years ago.
2019, this law was put in place. Pfizer
Pfizer was
here.
already out of here.
That's right.
I don't think
They're
so.
outta here.
I don't think that is right.
You don't think so?
I don't
The
think.
paper-
It's right there.
The memorandum predates 2019.
Yeah, to 2018.
And that is
Okay,
when-
and
this law went
Pfizer was
into
out of here.
effect
Not
2019. So it's not,
We'll
you know,
get the
it's not
details to you and we'll
Pfizer,
prove it
it's
to you
not
that it is
you, Adam.
inaccurate. We'll get the details and we'll prove to you that what you're saying is inaccurate. We'll get it.
So you're saying this law is not accurate, that was
It
put
was
in
well
place in
before this law. The law,
2019?
okay, so you're telling me today that this law about the servers only came in 2019 and had nothing to do prior to that.
Yes,
Is that right? Okay.
that's
so in the
that's
next
what I'm
board-
under the impression.
So in the next board meeting, we'll come back to you. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I'll put the facts in front.
I like what you said, that you are willing to meet with us or your people to talk to us about meeting in the middle so we get what we want, which is not raising the prices for the village people, and then somehow you guys get what you want and we meet in the middle, right?
Yes, and that,
So, my suggestion would be, why don't we have a special board meeting?
well, it was declined, by the way. It was declined. They refused to meet with us, saying that the board did not want to meet with us. And that was
I'm telling
said
you
by
right
the
now,
village.
I would be willing, I don't know about anybody else, but
I haven't seen
that's
it.
what I would love to see that, because I wanna see this place grow. And I'm willing to work with you,
And I can
and I
tell
wanna
you,
meet in the middle.
my
so we
employee
can
was
get something
mistreated
like
when
that.
they asked the request. It was mistreated. Okay? And it was said, the board does not have the interest to pursue this conversation to meet with you guys.
Well, I'm
And
going to the
decline, and
board and I'm saying
decline.
I got interest right now.
All right, I'm happy to do it.
All right.
And somebody asked me why we're not moving forward. That's one of the reasons why we're not moving forward.
Well, I mean, look at, that's my step moving forward. I wanna meet with you guys, all of us, on a special meeting with your people, and try and meet in the middle.
Perfect.
Not raise it for the village, you get what you want, sign some documents, and we try and meet in the middle and we talk about it.
Beautiful. This is what I've been asking for
Just
months.
trying to
Is this the way to do
clarify
this?
what's going on. That's all we're looking to do, is clarify it.
Because there's a way to do this. We've got Rider A.
Well, you can have a public hearing.
We can sit down, we can talk, we can have Mr.
It's a
Manning,
lot of
and
work,
Mr.
but it's something that
Cooper,
can be done.
figure
And we
something
don't
out,
have
instead
to
of having this.
have the
back
same
and forth
restrictions
talking
that
about.
Plattsburgh does.
How can you even discuss Rider A when there's only one electrical customer over there that's not even in this conversation?
Oh, there's only one meter. So Harry would be a part of that as well.
He's not the one paying the bill.
I'll bring the
He's
persons
not the
in
one
here.
paying the bill. And like I've said before, previous meetings, this whole discussion should not be in front of this board. It should be through the zoning board. There's a certain
the zoning
beginning to
board
end, but I
can't
think
talk
part of the
about-
problem is, I think these companies were advised by a certain village official, given the wrong information. I think that's the whole problem here. This is what started this whole problem.
I
From the
disagree
very
with that.
beginning to put permits in. That's all I did. I'm not involved in that
I didn't
process.
say it was you, but I'm just saying. But there's a certain process you start. You don't start with the village board.
When it comes to this law, it's, village board discusses that, because the zoning board can't do anything about the law.
That's correct. But
The
you
permitting
have to
part
put the
is-
permits in front of the zoning board of appeals and then decide from there whether or not the zoning board of appeals comes to the village board to change the law or not. That's how it works.
Well, it's crypto mining.
I would like to say something. So, in all of the towns that we go to, whether it's Watertown City Council, whether it's the town of Huntsville, whether it's the town of East Millinocket, Maine, we speak to the council, we speak to the board, we talk about our business plans, we talk about employment, we talk about what we want to do in town. We get an agreement. From there, then we move, when everybody's on the same page about power and means and land and whatever is needed. Then we move to filing the permits and the approvals and going to the zoning board and doing it. Right now, even if I did that, I have a problem. I can't put more than 3 servers in the building. I'm gonna need hundreds of servers eventually. So let's have a meeting. Let's chat about what it means for the town, what it means for the people, what is the investment dollars, how many employees we had. We had 40 employees. We fired them all. We had 40 here, all gone. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about whether what we're proposing, I'll bring everybody else in from ERS. I'll have everybody in the room. Let's talk about it. If you like us, great. If not, I move on. Okay? Let's do that.
Harry, I just got one question. So, you just got done telling us that you're just a consultant for ERS, no? Yes?
At the moment, yes.
Okay. What were your employees doing?
Oh, a consulting
You
group that-
personally, you had employees, but you had 40 employees under a consulting firm?
Yes,
Okay,
it's an infrastructure consulting firm. Yes, you're right.
okay. So 40 employees at Pfizer to consult.
Right, and you know what? We want to invest, so I had people here looking at all the stuff that we want to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Am I eligible to buy the building? Yes. Can I invest in town? Yes. Am I allowed to bring my employees in here to do all of that stuff? Yes. That's what we do. We go into towns, we invest, we look at due diligences, we look at all that stuff, and if somebody wants to hire a consultant, I'm more than happy to hire them.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that everything you got for me?
Sure. For now.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I spoke on trustee Pelkey's time on accident there, and that's it, that's all I have.
Other reports today?
No other report.
Other reports? Open meeting to the public. Anybody else want to have a public speaking? Raymond, you already went. Adam?
Just one thing. Adam Racine, 34 Maple Street. Just a suggestion, maybe, because I know the political season's coming up and everything like that. I was just wondering, was there any talks about maybe having a public forum or public style debate amongst the candidates and the people who are running? I just thought maybe the suggestion was mentioned to me, and I thought maybe that would be a good idea to kind of get the juices flowing in the town and everything.
I think it'd be a good idea. Not sure who would host it, because normally that's something Nick Southwick would do, but he's currently running.
Correct.
You think Calvin, well, I don't know if Calvin Caston has the time to do that.
I could look into it.
If you can find someone who'll host and like moderate it, that'd be a good idea. And we can do that.
Yeah, I think I could manage that. Cool.
No request for an executive session. I just wanted to mention real quick that there is NICOM training available for everybody, and it was partly online in 2020, and in 2021 had the first in-person NICOM training, and that is open to the entire board. I was the only one that I know of that went.
We were notified. Were you notified? No. Yeah, wasn't. We take ours through the fire department.
I take down through the school.
So, I still have my.
I'm sure Joe takes this through the prep.
Yeah.
Stay at home. And if that is everything, motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming to the meeting anyway.
Yeah, good, thanks.